This is Ecotricity's EcoTEC Roundup show from Aotearoa's first and only climate positive certified renewable electricity company. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to EVs in Aotearoa. Search today at ecotricity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup of news in the world of clean cars and green energy. Thanks for joining me, and thanks to lovely Kate Walton-Elliott for being me last week. It's official. After years of drawn-out will it, won't it, Byton has bitten the dust. Filing for bankruptcy in their home country of China, Byton's two parent companies are sadly no more. While Byton has been promising us various production electric vehicles since we first encountered them at CES back in 2018, the majority of the automotive press and most YouTubers have remained cautious of the brand because of the vague promises it continually made, without much substance to back them up. Given that I personally fell off a poorly made riser at Byton's presser in 2019 and sustained several $1,000s of medical bills, which I was unable to claim back, I guess I'm officially a creditor to Byton in a roundabout sort of way. Don't think I'll get anything though. Kenyan bank KCB, working alongside the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, has announced an ambitious project to electrify the nation's vehicles. At the heart of the just-announced plan is a new series of green loans being made available by KCB that will make it possible for up to 100,000 electric motorcycles and electric tuk-tuk taxis to be financed. But in order to qualify for the loan, interested participants must undergo special training on the electric motorcycles, which will also include proper operation and maintenance, as well as go through customer service, conflict resolution, and basic rule of law courses. Once those courses have been successfully completed, applicants will be able to apply for a loan to buy their new e-taxi, be it a two or a three-wheeler. A stereotype that's been perpetuated for a very long time is that Chinese-made vehicles aren't as safe as those made in the West. Hopefully, though, you've long since realised that stereotype isn't true, with many Chinese-made cars now being made and driven around the world. That stereotype got another kick in the nuts this week, though, when EuroNCAP praised Chinese EV startup NIo for the crash test performance of two new models entering the market, the ET5 sedan and EL7 SUV. The first two vehicles to undergo EuroNCAP's revised, tougher crash tests, the ET5 and EL7 scored well above 80% in all tests, except for the 79% the EL7 achieved for its safety assist system. That said, those scores are still on par for the most part with the kind of scores that Tesla tends to manage. BMW has officially launched the production version of its CE02 electric scooter, with two different drivetrain options available in Europe depending on the rider's age and licence. For those without a motorcycle endorsement, a 4 kilowatt version with a limited top speed of 45 kilometers per hour, that's 28 miles per hour, can be ridden as a moped, while a more powerful version with 11 kilowatts at the wheels and a top speed of 95 kilometers per hour, about 59 miles per hour, gives more safety on larger roads with higher speed limits. While hardened motorcycle fans won't necessarily dig the CE02 specifications or styling, I think it's a great option for European cities where lane splitting is usually legal and heavy congestion means that making a scooter trip is often the faster choice. Switching vehicles from fossil fuel to zero emissions is one of many essential steps to a decarbonised future, but it seems many lawmakers in the US disagree. As the Washington Post reported this week, Republicans on Capitol Hill have been trying to push amendments to the National Defense Authorization Act to try and stop the US military from buying and or using electric and other zero-emission vehicles. While the US Army said last year that it wants to be net zero by 2050 and has already started to take delivery of various electric vehicles across its bases, Republican representatives, including Scott Perry, Paul Gosar and Lauren Boebert, have all submitted arcane amendments to try and stop EVs from serving. They probably think electric cars are gay. The Society of Automotive Engineers has voted unanimously to form a task force to ensure that the Tesla charging inlet, aka NACS, becomes an official standard as quickly as possible. This week, it announced that it believes it may be able to hammer NACS through the official SAE standards process by the end of this year, with NACS, Tesla's self-named North American charging standard, getting the catchy official SAE designation of J34000. While you'd think that the standard is just for DC fast charging, SAE is hinting that its official process will also validate J34000 for AC charging, since its design can currently accommodate voltages of up to 277 volts AC single phase. Watch this space. If you live outside of the US, you may not know that there are 3 different official electricity grids for mainland US. The Eastern Interconnection, the Western Interconnection, and the Texas Interconnection. In the majority of the lower 48, electricity can easily flow from where it's generated to where it's needed, but in Texas, its special interconnection, while theoretically capable of connecting to other parts of the US, sits on its own because Texas is special. And with the Southwest now enduring massive heat waves and record temperatures, the Texas grid is having to do a lot of work. But because of the massive growth in solar and wind installations in the Lone Star State in recent years, much more renewable energy is being generated than the state needs, and the grid can't physically transmit it all. Oh, Texas. We are all familiar with the idea of electric motorsport by now, with many high-profile race series existing, from everything from electric single-seat race cars to high-powered electric scooters. But in the US, Italian motorcycle company Energica has been taking names in the Super Hooligan National Championship, a race series that not specifically designed for EVs, but rather one in which its race-tuned Eva Ribelle RS is racing against internal combustion engine bikes. And last weekend at the WeatherTech Laguna Seca Raceway in California, Stefano Mesa, riding for Toitū's Cycle Racing, shows just how good electric can be, accelerating to the front of the pack in one of the races and setting a new electric motorcycle lap time in the second, before going on to finish in 5th place. Well done. For a long time, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles have been portrayed by most fossil fuel companies as the next big thing, the thing that will eventually replace internal combustion engines and gasoline. But one gas company, BP, seems to disagree, with its just released BP Energy Outlook for 2023 seemingly dismissing both combustion and fuel cell cars powered by hydrogen. Instead, the company, which has spent some significant money in recent years buying up as many EV charging companies as it can around the world, seems to suggest a CO2 reduction of between 30 to 75% will be possible using battery electric vehicles and the remaining fossil fuel fleet alone. Hydrogen fuel cells, it predicts, will account for between 0.3 and 0.6% of the market share by 2050. Before we get to the last 2 stories, I have a quick question. Are you in the market for a new EV? Because if you are, and you live in Aotearoa, you should totally check out our very own buyer's guide at ecotricity.co.nz. It is packed with articles and information that you need to pick a car that's right for you. Plenty of buyer's guides, details about incentives you can get, charging providers you can use, and of course how to get clean green power at home. So follow the link below and start that journey today. When the Ford Mustang Mach E broke cover back in 2019, there were plenty of critics who said it's not a real Mustang because it's an SUV rather than a coupe. And since then, through the launch of the regular Mach E and rear and all-wheel drive, not to mention very quick Mach E GT and Mach E GT Performance editions, Ford has managed to quell many of the naysayers and bust some Mustang stereotypes. This week at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, another stereotype will be broken, namely that the Mustang nameplate should never rally. That's because Ford is launching an all-new Mustang Mach E called the Mach E Rally, complete with spoiler, rally-style spotlights, high-performance specs, which haven't been published at the time of recording. It'll go on sale in Europe and North America later this year, with those gorgeous wheels, of course. And finally, if you grew up in the 1980s and were into RC cars, I'm guessing that you are more than familiar with the name of the Tamiya Wild One. They weren't exactly cheap, but anyone who had one, they were very popular. And in the years since then, us Gen Xers have grown up a little, and many of us have kids who have grown up too. But our love for classic 80s design is still there, and thanks to a tie-in between the little car company and Tamiya, the RC car many lusted after is now a real vehicle you can order and drive on the road. Enter the Wild One Max. It's road legal, has up to 14.4 kilowatts of battery packs from 8 removable batteries, and a road legal top speed of 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers per hour. Sadly, it's classified as an L7E quadricycle in Europe, but it also means it's going to be classified as a neighbourhood electric vehicle in the US with a limited top speed of 25 miles per hour. There's no news on if it will ever go on sale in Aotearoa, but I think it is the perfect vehicle for grabbing a quick bit of fresh air on a summer's evening before grabbing some fish and chips. What say you? And on that note, we are done for the day. Before I go though, do make sure you've hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest in EV news from this channel. And if you haven't already switched, it is time to switch to Aotearoa's first and only climate positive electricity provider. It is super easy to make the switch, and if you do, you'll help the nation wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean green power that will keep the land beautiful for generations to come. I'll be back next week as usual, and in the meantime, don't forget to check out the latest videos from Gavin Kiwi EV Shoebridge right here on this channel. He's made a fantastic video about how to buy a used Tesla Model 3, plus he did a range test recently on the Ioniq 6 long range. Both are well worth your time. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Nikki Gordon Bloomfield. Ka kite! See you next time.